My SIL excluded me from her wedding, bullied me online, turned my in-laws against me, tried to use my kids in her wedding, so I gave her the silence she couldn't handle. First off, just wanna say I have been watching your crazy wedding stories for a while now and never dreamed I'd be posting. Love you, Charlotte. This situation has been weighing on me, and I need an outside perspective. My husband, John, and I got married last year, and ever since, there's been tension with my soon-to-be sister-in-law, Danelle. Here's the backstory. Last Christmas, Danelle and Connor, John's brother, got engaged but waited until New Year's Eve to announce it. I thought it was odd to hold off, but I was happy for them and excited to help with anything she might need. I really thought we were becoming friends. Fast forward to New Year's Eve, and I find out that John had told his parents he wanted to propose to me that night. Apparently, his parents shared that with Connor and Danelle, who then decided to use the same occasion for their engagement announcement instead. When I found out, I was hurt, but I tried to let it go. John proposed a few months later, and we decided to elope on a beautiful mountaintop. I've never wanted a big wedding, I don't have a great relationship with my father, and we didn't want to step on Connor and Danelle's toes since their wedding was coming up. We even asked them if it would bother them if we got married before them, and they said it was completely fine, as there was almost over a year before theirs. Here's where things started getting weird. Danelle never congratulated me on our engagement, and she's been distant ever since SHE got engaged. She didn't want help with any wedding planning and didn't include me or our other sister-in-law, John and Connor's sister, in anything. My husband is Connor's best man, but Danelle doesn't want him to give a speech or throw a bachelor party, even though she's going on a destination bachelorette trip. To make things worse, she's been bullying me online. She knows I've been struggling with postpartum depression and the loss of my grandmother, and after I went no contact with her, she started mailing things to our house only addressed to John and our kids, seemingly purposely leaving me off. Most recently, she told my mother-in-law that my oldest son would be their ring bearer. She never discussed this with me and even previously told me she didn't want kids in the wedding because she thought it would be too much for me. At this point, I'm wondering if this all stems from me and John getting married before them. Am I the asshole for not waiting longer, or is there something else going on here? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, if she's bullying you online, print it all and present it in front of the entire family. Say you've tried to discuss it privately, but her blatant disrespect at a vulnerable time in your life is extremely triggering, therefore, it's now a family matter. See how happy as a clam she is afterwards when everyone sees her true colors. OP, me and my sister-in-law have brought this to my in-laws, but she was told to get over it, and I was told that's how Danelle is, but she loves us and would do anything for us. Commenter 2, ring bearer, did she ask your DH? Or just announced it to MIL? Not happening if she can't be bothered to ask the parents of the boy. Will your boy be old enough to handle the job? Will it be the real ring he's bringing, or a prop/faux ring? I've read stories where the ring bearer is too young for the job, plays around and loses the real ring. That would be a nightmare. I'd just block her if she's bullying you online. Nothing says you have to be a doormat in the interests of family must be buds online and hang together? OP, she just announced to MILBC she and my husband have never gotten along. Also, he is a toddler, so possibly. Does OP's husband get along with Danielle? OP, she's marrying my husband's brother. He hasn't liked her since BIL brought her home. I actually used to advocate for her until this mess. Who is the oldest in OP's husband's family? OP, my husband is the oldest. Commenter 3, the only way to win is not to play. Block her everywhere. Do not let your son be in her wedding. Be cordial when you have to see her, but no need to be friendly. I would also go very limited contact with MIL. She sounds awful. OP, this has been my approach. She is blocked on everything including texts, but she just doesn't seem to be letting up. When I blocked her on everything is when she started sending mail and gifts to my kids. That has also crossed my mind about MIL OP on if she has been invited to the wedding. OP, no formal invitation has been sent yet, still a few months away from their wedding. But I'm going on the assumption I am. That thought has definitely crossed my mind about being sat near the bathroom and me leaving. I told my husband that he is more than welcome to stay and celebrate his brother, but I will be leaving. Me and John also discussed if the invitation comes addressed to just him and the kids, we will just RSVP for one and I will happy stay home. Update, a little over 3 weeks later. Hi everyone. I wanted to give an update since a bit has happened since my original post. And I promised to update you all in February. So, my husband John, his brother Connor, their grandfather, and father were supposed to meet up to pay for the suits for the wedding. It was also supposed to be a chance for the guys to talk without me or Danelle, my soon-to-be SIL, around. But Connor just didn't show up. No call, no text, nothing. To top it off, the suits ended up being double the original price. Aggravating, but at this point, what can you do? As for my MIL, even though I've already told her I'm not going to Danelle's bridal shower because of how I've been treated, she's now trying to guilt me into going by asking me to bring great-grandma to the shower. My other sister-in-law is also being left out. MIL just texted her the dates she needs to request off for the wedding, which is on a holiday, without asking if she could even make it. Any of her questions about what to wear or other details have been completely ignored. And the kicker? My other SIL just took her Christmas tree down this week, and guess what she found? Danelle had hidden an ornament on the tree that was clearly meant as a dig at both of us. I'm sure more drama is coming as the wedding gets closer, but I'm just over it at this point. Thanks for all the support and advice on my last post, it's really helped me navigate this mess. Me and SIL are planning a day trip with the kids the day of the wedding. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, why is your husband and in-laws okay with this? OP, my husband isn't okay with it, and has made it known my in-laws on the other hand love to pretend to be completely clueless even though I've spoken to them directly about the issues. Commenter 2, is Connor, by chance, the golden child? OP, seems to be what was on the ornament that OOP's SIL, not Danielle, found? OP, okay, so it's just a stupid quote on an ornament and her bullying me online started with the same quote. She also got one for MIL that she gave her on Christmas. Why is OP's husband going to the wedding and is she okay with his decision? OP, I think he just wants to be there for his brother. I also have encouraged him to not drop from the wedding BC. I don't not want for years later him to feel like I made him choose me over his family, but that's just me overthinking. Update 2.5 months later. Hey everyone, here's the third, but probably not final, update to the wedding chaos with my soon-to-be SIL, Danelle. Thanks again to everyone who supported my first 2 posts, you've helped me feel so much less alone in this. So, for anyone who missed my earlier posts, here's the summary of what's happened. I've been dealing with some serious drama surrounding my soon-to-be sister-in-law, Danelle, and her wedding. A little background, Danelle and I were very close for about 4 years. We'd hang out regularly, dinner, movies, even deep conversations. I really considered her a good friend. When she and Connor, my husband's brother, got engaged, I was excited and eager to support her however I could. I was never expecting to be in the bridal party, but I wanted to help with anything else she needed. After Danelle got engaged, however, things changed. When John and I got engaged a few months later, I was completely ignored by Danelle. She didn't congratulate me, and I wasn't included in any wedding planning. Then, John, who's Connor's best man, was told he wouldn't be giving a speech or planning the bachelor party. Danelle was planning a destination bachelorette trip, but she didn't want my husband involved in anything related to her wedding. It felt like she was excluding us at every turn. The situation only got worse when Danelle started bullying me online. I had already been struggling with postpartum depression and grieving the loss of my grandmother, and the constant passive-aggressive comments from her were really taking a toll. After I decided to go no contact with her, Danelle took to sending things addressed only to John and our kids, pointedly leaving me out. Then, Danelle told my MIL that my oldest son would be the ring bearer, without ever discussing it with me. This is after she'd told me she didn't want kids in the wedding because it would be too much for me. It felt like she was going out of her way to be dismissive and disrespectful. Meanwhile, my other sister-in-law, Kay, was being treated just as poorly. She was told, not asked, to take off time for the wedding, and all her questions about attire or wedding details were completely ignored. Kay even found an ornament on her Christmas tree that Danelle had hidden there, clearly meant as a dig at both of us. After that, Kay and I had planned to take the kids out for a day trip during the wedding to avoid the drama. But when I confirmed that my kids wouldn't be in the wedding, Danelle suddenly told Kay that she'd be the keeper of the rings, so that plan was cancelled. After pressure from her parents. Here's where things got even more frustrating. My father-in-law came over to our house and tried to guilt us into bringing the kids to the wedding. Even though we had made it clear that we weren't going to be involved in the wedding like that, he wouldn't take no for an answer. My husband, John, finally had to shut him down and told him outright to stop kissing Danelle's ass. Honestly, I was proud of him for standing up for me, but it just made me realize how deep this whole thing goes. Throughout all of this, we've been begging for basic wedding information, especially after being left out of planning and communication. We asked multiple times for things like the dress code, wedding schedule, and other details, and the response was always a shrug. At one point, John had to ask for the wedding address, times, speech expectations, and other logistical details because, we just weren't given any of that. It was getting absurd. I couldn't even buy a dress for the occasion because less than a month I still didn't know the attire. Now finally I was able to order it and it will be here 4 days before the wedding, so fingers crossed it fits. Then, again with the wedding now less than a month away, John was expected to throw together a bachelor party at the last minute, and, on top of that, he was also supposed to write a best man speech for a brother he barely knows and a woman he can't stand. The emotional labor being dumped on him is honestly ridiculous. So, we've decided that we'll go to the wedding, but there's a condition. John has promised that if we attend, we will go no contact with his family until New Year's, and then we'll reevaluate. I'm pregnant with baby number 3 right now, and after experiencing a miscarriage during Thanksgiving, I just can't deal with all this stress anymore. I'm emotionally drained and trying to protect my peace for the sake of my family. I'll update again if anything else happens, but at this point, we're just getting through it. Thanks again for all the support, it's honestly helped me more than you know. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I think for your own mental well-being, you and your husband should refrain from going to the wedding at all. I don't understand why you are putting yourselves through it when Danelle obviously dislikes both of you and doesn't want you there. She will create drama and make the whole event insufferable for you both. Why do you want to go? OP, I have brought this up to my husband a few times now. I think he feels terrible that he'd be letting his brother down who's never really asked him for anything before this. But I agree, I'm only going to support my husband and Kay, and we will be leaving as soon as speeches are done. Commenter 2, it sounds like Danielle was just trying to get into you and your family's good graces until she got the ring on her finger. I'm sure you and John getting married before her was a factor, but if she changed after her engagement instead of yours, she was just showing who she really was, since she's also excluding Connor's other siblings. I would like some more information, if possible. What comments was she making about you online? What was the ornament she left on Kay's tree? Why do John and Connor barely know each other? What's Connor's role in all of this? Is he backing all of Danielle's shenanigans or is he entirely in the dark? As for wedding details like the dress code and all of that, is there no wedding planner? A mutual friend in the bridal party? Details listed on the invitation that you could glean from another guest? You and Kay should just honestly drop off the relatives and items your in-laws are pressuring you both to bring and then bounce. Neither of you need the stress, and neither does your husband, and definitely not any of the kids. OP, I will try my best to answer all those. Within 5 minutes of talking to them about us eloping and if they would be okay with it, she posted a picture quote saying, in my engagement era, and then her and her bridesmaids kept talking about short engagements and such, then it turned into mirroring my Facebook posts, and since all of this started with an in my era post she put one on Kay's tree and gave one to MIL. John and Connor just aren't close, they have nothing in common and don't really talk unless it's at the holidays. Connor has been completely quiet about all of it, so how he feels honestly an invitation? Never received one, keep being told it's in someone's car. Every time we ask when John sent the text telling them if they wanted us there we need the address, attire and other basic information, she responded very passive-aggressively with an accusing tone of we just apparently should have known. What does OP know about Danielle's background? Is Danielle a golden child? In her family? OP, Danelle actually from what I understand about her family is the youngest and only girl but has latched on to my husband's parents after dating his younger brother. Less than a year into the relationship she forced his family to invite her to Mother's and Father's Day stuff that used to be only for their children. How did John get asked to be Connor's best man if they don't have a relationship? Was Connor forced to? OP, he was third choice after their dad said no, and Connor wasn't allowed to ask his first choice BC of someone else's family. Drama editor's note. OP has linked a picture of her response likely to her in-laws, FIL specifically, regarding bringing her children to the wedding. OP, information like the venue, timing, or even the address, it's been really difficult to plan ahead. Even something as simple as the rehearsal being 40 o'clock at the church wasn't clear to us, because as I said we don't even have an address and it's left me feeling really unprepared. These are important moments, and I want them to go smoothly and feel joyful, but right now, it's been hard to feel included, let alone ready. You'd ask me to reconsider bringing the boys, but after everything, I've decided they won't be attending. The lack of communication has made it nearly impossible to plan for them in any meaningful way, and I don't want to show up with them feeling out of place or overlooked. OOP's husband, John, will be in a tux, and we still have no idea what's expected from me or the boys. Are we supposed to show up in old dress clothes and hope for the best? I don't want to put them or myself in a situation where we feel like an afterthought, especially on a day that's supposed to be a special event for the entire family. I also want to be upfront about how all of this has felt. Given the ongoing tension between Danielle and me, it's hard not to take the late invitation personally. I've tried to give the benefit of the doubt, but it's reached a point where it feels like the boys and I aren't really part of the plan. That's a difficult thing to sit with, and I didn't want to stay quiet about it. We do have a prior commitment on the day of the rehearsal, but we'll do what we can to be flexible. I'm not trying to stir anything up, I just wanted to be honest and hope you can understand where I'm coming from. Final update, 3.5 weeks later from the last update we didn't go, and we're now no contact. Well, it's official. My husband and I didn't attend the reception, he decided to not be in the wedding photos, and we are now no contact with his family. I promised an update, so here it is. Let me back up. Weeks went by with no invitation. I finally got a 1/3 of an invitation, no envelope, no details. It wasn't even addressed to me. It was slipped to John weeks after everyone else had received theirs. No RSVP card, no formal invite. And when we asked about it, we were told we should have known the details, because it's tradition. But apparently tradition didn't include me, despite the fact that it is tradition to send an invitation to the best man's wife. Things started really unraveling at the rehearsal. They called for all family and bridal party to go into another room to practice a special entrance into the church. I wasn't going to go, but I was ushered in by FIL and Connor. Once inside, it became obvious that every immediate family member was involved in this special entrance and had reserved seating, everyone except me. They lined people up for their entrance and then just left me in an empty room. I could hear everyone laughing and talking in the next room while a woman stood at the door to keep people from going back in. I wasn't even allowed to rejoin the group. I cried in the bathroom, tried to pull myself together several times, and finally just sat by the car until everyone came out. Kay dropped out last minute, for her own reasons, but let's just say she wasn't treated any better. Then came the wedding day. I brought our oldest son with me because our youngest was sick with a fever, and it would have been too much to ask my mom to watch both. When we arrived, my MIL came around greeting guests, smiling and chatting, but walked right past me and our son without saying a word. It was humiliating. And then came the final blow, the family photo list. Turns out, I wasn't on it. Not me, not my son. My husband had to ask if I was supposed to be included. After a pause and some awkward glances, they said I could be, as if it were a favor. I declined. I wasn't going to beg to be in photos with a family that had gone out of their way to make me feel like a stranger. That was what finally made it clear for my husband. He saw it. Really saw it. The exclusion wasn't just in my head. It wasn't accidental. It was repeated, deliberate, and pointed. The photo list sealed it for him. He made the call to go no contact. Not just me, him too. We didn't go to the reception, and we won't be spending another holiday, text thread, or minute playing pretend with people who made it so obvious we aren't welcome. There's so much more I could say, but I'll end with this: if you don't want someone at your wedding, don't invite them. But don't half-invite them and then exclude them every step of the way while pretending they're crazy. I was never part of this plan, and honestly, I think they thought I wouldn't notice. But I did. To everyone who followed along, thank you. And your validation meant more than you'll ever know. It helped me stay grounded in reality when gaslighting and passive aggression were trying to rewrite it. We're closing this chapter. We genuinely hope everyone had the day they deserve. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, was there any kind of reaction when you didn't go to the reception? Has he told them he's going NC? OP, just one text from MIL saying she didn't understand, haven't heard from them since, thank goodness, but I know it's probably coming. OP explains the tension in her husband's family after she and John got engaged. OP, I think the tension really started when his parents shared John's engagement plans with Connor and Danelle, and instead of backing off, Danelle went and bought her own ring to get engaged the same night. I honestly think they know it was wrong but don't want to take responsibility, so they've just doubled down. And things only got worse when we didn't wait until 2027 for a big wedding like my MIL suggested. What did FIL think? He seemed like he was trying to include OP. He tried to keep the peace, but ultimately he's not innocent either, since they were a big part of the planning and knew all this was happening. OP explains what her family thought of her in-laws and Danielle. OP, my family, especially my mom and brothers, are really upset. They've met my in-laws and Danelle before, and they actually tried to warn me about her a few times because of how she acted around them. They also thought it was strange when she made a bunch of personalized things with my son's name on them before we had announced the name to the family. I had shared it with her because I genuinely believed we were friends. I defended her for 4 years, but at this point, my family is just relieved she won't be at any future family events. What about Kay? Has she gone no contact with the family? OP, Kay has already been low contact after Christmas, but she's extremely upset by how I was treated as well and is planning on going no contact herself. OP shares examples of how she was treated by Danielle and her behavior. OP, Danelle would regularly post thinly veiled, passive-aggressive status updates that clearly referenced things I had shared or said. Whether about parenting, family plans, etc., she never mentioned me by name, but the timing and content made it obvious to anyone who knew the situation. It was a pattern of vague subtweets and snide commentary meant to provoke without accountability. Then, at a family barbecue, Kay overheard her openly talking about me to others, mocking and criticizing things I'd said and done. Kay told me afterward, and it confirmed that what was happening online wasn't just in my head. Danelle had been going out of her way to target and belittle me even before my engagement/marriage. I am intentionally keeping things vague though because this is a throwaway and I'd like to stay anonymous. That's a really fair question, and honestly, things were fine with my husband's family for the most part, until right before Danelle and Connor's engagement. The turning point came when we didn't go on a family vacation with them. We had just bought our house, and financially it wasn't doable at the time. After they got back, Danelle, the bride, told me straight up that they had all spent time talking about me and my husband. She included herself in that. That was the first real red flag. From there, things changed quickly. My MIL became colder, less friendly. Invitations stopped coming. I started noticing little things, being left out of photos, group chats, conversations. Then once the engagement happened, it felt like everything escalated. It became clear that I was being deliberately excluded. So no, the treatment didn't start off badly. I was treated well, even like family, until we made a personal financial decision that didn't align with their expectations. And once Danelle was in the picture more permanently, it felt like she poured gasoline on whatever resentment was already there. It's one thing to have issues with a new in-law, but watching the rest of the family quietly fall in line and enable it? That's what hurt the most. Moving on to our next story, and it says, Wibta for canceling my sister's wedding because it was my wedding first? I was meant to get married on the 1st of February, which was mine and my ex-fiancé's anniversary. We ended the engagement shortly after the new year because he cheated on me. The wedding was initially planned with just my money but was very low key, and my parents asked if they could put up some additional money to make the whole thing a bit bigger. By the end, about 60% of the wedding was paid for by me and 40% my parents' contribution. My ex and I had agreed that I would pay for the wedding while he covered the honeymoon. My ex left me to deal with canceling the wedding as his money wasn't involved, and I turned to my mother and sister for help because I didn't have the mental or emotional capacity to call vendors and venues and whatever else and cancel everything. My sister is engaged, and helped me with a lot of wedding planning. Next thing I know, my mother and sister are asking me if I wouldn't mind my sister just taking my wedding. Every part of it, from the venue to the cake, and everything in between. The sole difference will be the wedding dress, and even then she said if she can't buy off the rack she might have to get mine tailored to fit her instead. I called off my engagement less than 3 weeks ago. I am a fucking mess. I reached out to my family to help me cancel the wedding, and my sister is planning to take it over instead. My sister has rung round our family explaining that she's taking over before she told me this. They are all attending. Her fiancé has contacted his family and given them the date he will be getting married. I found all this out today. She asked me if I was okay with this, like she hadn't already arranged everything. I told her to go fuck herself. I have until the 23rd to cancel things and get the money back. There's a couple of things where I won't get money back at this stage, but over 2/3 of it is still refundable. The money will be refunded to the card it was paid by, so both me and my parents will get the correct amounts back. Everything is shut right now, but it's the 21st tomorrow. As I've not been in contact with these companies and it's my name on all the contracts, I have full power over this wedding. My sister said she'd pay me back eventually, but knowing her I'll never see that money again. Wibta if I rung round everything and cancelled? Verdict, not the asshole relevant comments, OP to a deleted comment. She wants me to be her maid of honor, so I'll be standing up front in the dress that was meant for her while she stands a few feet away in the dress that was meant for me. Commenter, I am sick to my stomach thinking about you having to not only watch, but participate in, the wedding day you planned. I'm shocked that any person would think this would be okay, let alone multiple people. OP, my family aren't exactly the most emotionally intelligent people TBH. Commenter, she's wearing your dress? The gall of your family. So many internet hugs from Minnesota. The internet is on your side in this, good grief. OP, she says if she can buy off the rack she will, but the wedding is in 10 days and we're the same size, so if she has no luck she'll be borrowing my dress. Commenter, wait, so they're taking your date too? I just assumed they were going to move the date so you could still keep the deposit and not lose money. Sheesh. Nta. Cancel that mess. OP, the whole thing, including date, which me and my ex, actually chose because it was our anniversary. So that's lovely. Commenter, info, does your sister hate you? Is she trying to be hurtful? OP, probably. Commenter, will you please show your family this thread so they maybe get some sense knocked into them? OP, they'd probably get mad at me for posting their business online. Commenter, it's your business. Your wedding. That's it. Commenter, NTA your family's horrible for not clearing it with you first. Your wedding fell apart due to your ex cheating on you, and everyone's first thought was to let your sister take your wedding without taking your feelings into account? Dog, that's beyond fucked up. You do you, dog. Sorry about your situation. OP, when I asked what the fuck they were thinking, my sister actually said to me, it's not like he died, like cheating was the reason they chose to do this. Commenter, info, why not tell her straight up that you will cancel if you do not have a check clear before the 22nd? OP, because she will try and talk me out of it, and I don't care half as much about the money as I do the prospect of having to go to my sister's wedding. She wants me to be maid of honor, even after I snapped at her, and watch my sister wear what was meant to be my wedding dress to what was meant to be my wedding and deal with all the invitees who know this was meant to be my wedding barely a month after I called off my engagement, and even in future if I ever talk to her again after this I will have the knowledge that she had my wedding, which is going to make ever having any sort of closure on this whole thing very difficult. Commenter, who is currently in possession of the wedding dress? Make sure it's with you and she can't get access to it. The shop may refund, but you're probably going to have to sell it online. OP, I left it at Mum's house. I was going to get ready at her place because she's closer to the venue. Which means that my sister probably has it by now. And I hate myself for leaving it there. Update 2 days later, I talked to my sister and explained how upset I was and how hurt this made me feel, and she said that this was a good thing, and it would be therapeutic for me to see good come from bad. I said that is really not what it's feeling like on my end, and to me it feels like I got cheated on a month before my wedding, and my sister said she would cancel everything for me and then decided that getting married in my dress in the venue my ex and I picked out together on my anniversary date, and this did not feel good. I said if she wanted to buy the wedding off me then I needed payment in full for my 60% by the 23rd, and I wanted to switch out our names on the contracts. She said she was hoping for closer to a payment plan, where she paid me back 50% of the 60% I put down in monthly installments over the next 10 months. She wanted to pay me back 5% per month for 10 months. And I still wouldn't get all my money back. I've made calls and cancelled everything. Everything was paid for by me, and my parents' money paid primarily for upgrades to the things I'd already bought. The money will be refunded to whoever paid for it, so myself and my parents will all get the correct money back. However, with some, like the caterer, we've lost the deposit entirely. With some, like the venue, they kept part of the money, average 50%, but some kept more and some kept less. And with some, like the baker who was a family friend and hadn't started on the cake yet, they completely refunded it. I think the fact that I was open that the wedding was off because he cheated made them feel bad for me and probably made a few of them more lenient on refunds. Didn't just bring it up for the sake of it, most of them asked if I'd wanted to reschedule. On the whole, I've gotten a little over half back, which is not as much as I thought. Really annoying thing is that I put these cancellations through on the 21st, and if I'd done it on the 18th, 2 full weeks notice, I'd have gotten more, but they waited until the 20th to tell me. The dates are now open, the plans are now there. If she wants to rebook everything in her name she is welcome to. She helped me with a fuck ton of planning, knows the details better than I do, and she can easily rebook the exact same thing and will probably be doing the vendors a favor considering how close we are to the big day. Some refunds will be instant, some will take a bit of time, longest is 2 weeks, and I'm no longer going on my honeymoon, so once all the refunds have come through I might book a week away somewhere. Not sure what's happening with my sister mother family at large. In total, I would have gotten more back from my sister than I would from the venues, but it would be a year wait on her repaying me versus a few weeks on the venues. Currently drafting a Facebook post to tell the family what happened without me looking like a total bitch. I have a feeling they've already guessed what went on, but only one way to make sure.